Did you know that one of the most desirable car brands on the planet was born in a small workshop? A story that began with simple tools, but guided by a grand dream, has transformed into a true empire of speed, luxury, and innovation. Today you will discover how Porsche went from anonymity to becoming one of the greatest symbols of world motoring. If you enjoy inspiring stories of great visionaries, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any episodes and leave a comment saying, which Porsche car do you admire most? Your opinion could appear in the next video. Before the Porsche name appeared on the luxury cars that now roam the world's roads, there was a curious, determined young man with an uncontrollable passion for everything involving gears, engines, and movement. That young man was Ferdinand Porsche. Born in 1875 in Maffersdorf, a small town in what was then Austria-Hungary, Ferdinand grew up in a simple environment, but one that breathed hard work. His father was a master blacksmith, and it was in this artisan workshop environment that young Ferdinand began to have contact with the world of tools and mechanics. While other children played in the streets, he was interested in disassembling objects and observing how they worked. Gradually, that curiosity transformed into something bigger. Ferdinand wasn't just a boy who liked tinkering with parts. He had a different, almost intuitive, understanding of how machines worked. He wasn't an exemplary student in formal studies, but he possessed an impressive practical intelligence. So much so that, even without a traditional academic background, he began to be recognized for his technical skills. One of the most striking aspects of his youth was his courage in challenging the limits of his time. In an era when electricity was still in its infancy, Ferdinand Porsche self-taught himself building his first electric motor. Imagine the impact of that. While most people didn't even understand the potential of that energy source, he already envisioned that the future of transportation could be linked to it. This audacity opened doors for him, attracting the attention of engineers and businessmen. Over the years, Ferdinand worked for companies in the automotive sector, where he quickly distinguished himself. His restless mind drove him to seek creative solutions to complex problems. He didn't accept, "It can't be done," as an answer. There was always a way to improve performance, to reinvent what seemed limited. This trait would become the hallmark of his entire career and, later, of Porsche's entire philosophy as a company. Constant innovation and improvement. But it's important to understand, Ferdinand Porsche became a reference point not only for his technical talent. He was also a visionary who saw the machine not just as a functional object, but as an extension of the human being. For him, a car shouldn't just be a means of transportation. He believed that driving should be an experience, something that aroused emotion, pleasure, and passion. This unique vision placed him on a unique level among the engineers of his time. This tireless and innovative spirit allowed Ferdinand to gain increasing prominence in the industry. He worked on major projects, designed revolutionary models, and accumulated experience that would later be essential for founding his own brand. But it all began back then, in that small workshop, in the eyes of a boy who wasn't afraid to dream big. And it is precisely this point that makes the story so inspiring. Ferdinand Porsche is living proof that you don't need to be born with a silver spoon in your mouth or have all the resources at your disposal to transform the world. What you need, above all, is the courage to dream, the discipline to persevere, and the creativity to seek solutions where no one else sees a way out. This first part of the story shows us that behind every great company, there is always a determined mind that refuses to accept mediocrity. And Ferdinand Porsche was exactly that. A dreamer who used his own hands to shape the future of the automotive industry. If you also believe that great stories can be born in unlikely places, like this video to support the channel, subscribe to follow all the upcoming stories of giants who changed the world, and comment below. Which characteristic of Ferdinand Porsche has most caught your attention so far? His curiosity, his discipline, or his vision of the future? After years of accumulating experience in different companies, demonstrating his genius and earning the admiration of the industry, Ferdinand Porsche decided to take a bold and risky step, opening his own workshop. In 1931, in the city of Stuttgart, Germany, Dr. Ing. HCF Porsche GmbH was born, a design and engineering consulting studio. This was the true embryo of the Porsche we know today. But it's important to understand, at that time, there was no luxury, glamour, or large investments. What existed was a small space, basic tools, and the tireless mind of a visionary. Ferdinand's workshop didn't start out producing cars under his own name. In fact, the initial goal was to provide design and engineering services to other automakers. This means that Porsche was born as a company that sold ideas, concepts, and creative solutions to mechanical and performance problems. While the world was still recovering from economic crises and political changes, Ferdinand Porsche saw engineering as a way to create something lasting, something that could stand the test of time. It was in this studio that some of the most interesting projects of the time emerged. Porsche and his team developed engines, transmissions, and even complete vehicle concepts that would be delivered to other brands. Each contract signed was not only a source of income but also an opportunity to put their vision into practice. And little by little, the Porsche name began to circulate behind the scenes of the industry as a synonym for quality and innovation. A curious and often forgotten detail is that, in the beginning, Ferdinand faced enormous financial difficulties. There were no guarantees of success. Often, the contracts were too small to support significant advancements, and he needed to balance the survival of the workshop with the ambition to create something revolutionary. It is precisely at this point that we see the greatness of his determination. Even with limited resources, he never compromised on excellence. It didn't matter if the project was for a popular car or a sophisticated prototype. The Porsche label meant a commitment to perfection. The Stuttgart workshop became a true laboratory of ideas. There, Ferdinand and his engineers dared to experiment with combinations and solutions that others considered impossible. It was as if each part, each engine designed, was a step towards a greater future. It wasn't just an engineering company. It was a space where one man's vision began to take shape. But perhaps the most fascinating aspect of this early phase is the fact that, although the Porsche name was not yet emblazoned on its own cars, Ferdinand already had a clear philosophy in mind that would guide his brand. Cars that were not just machines, but works of art in motion. The workshop was small in size, but immense in purpose. And this is where the story takes a surprising turn. It was within this workshop that Ferdinand received an invitation that would change everything: to design a people's car for Germany. This challenge would give rise to one of the most iconic automobiles in history, and without anyone imagining it, would pave the way for the definitive emergence of Porsche as a manufacturer of its own models. This transition, from working on outsourced projects to creating something grand, shows how even the greatest empires can be born discreetly, almost silently, in places that seem insignificant. It proves that every great dream has a humble beginning, but with the right dose of courage and vision, it can reach global dimensions. If this part of the story has already surprised you, imagine what's still to come. Porsche's journey still holds impressive twists and turns. So, leave a like to support the channel, subscribe to follow the next chapters of this and other incredible stories, and comment here. Did you imagine that Porsche started as just a small engineering service workshop? Ferdinand Porsche's workshop had already gained recognition behind the scenes of the industry, but the real turning point came when he was invited to participate in an ambitious project, to create an affordable, popular car that could be mass-produced and meet the needs of the entire German population. This challenge resulted in the birth of one of the most iconic and revolutionary automobiles in history: the Volkswagen Beetle. In the 1930s, the European landscape clamored for an inexpensive, robust, and functional car. While vehicles were still seen as luxury items, the concept of a people's car seemed almost impossible. But it was precisely in this context that Ferdinand Porsche once again demonstrated his genius. He believed it was possible to build a reliable vehicle, with intelligent design and simple mechanics, capable of serving millions of people. The project quickly took shape, and thus the Volkswagen Type 1 was born, which the world would come to know as the Beetle. The car had rounded lines, a rear-mounted air-cooled engine, and such efficient engineering that it allowed for easy maintenance and long durability. It was not just an automobile, it was a symbol of the democratization of mobility. For the first time, ordinary families could dream of owning their own car. The impact of the Beetle was gigantic, not only because of its sales success, but also because of the philosophy it embodied. Ferdinand Porsche showed the world that engineering could serve not only the elite, but also the common citizen. This reasoning opened the doors to Porsche's future as an independent brand. After all, the same engineer who had created a popular car was ready to prove that he could also design vehicles capable of captivating lovers of speed and exclusivity. It's interesting to note how the seemingly simple Beetle became the seed of an empire. It showed that Porsche possessed not only technical competence but also strategic vision. The success of this model, designed by his team, gave Ferdinand the confidence to pursue his grand ambition: to create cars that bore the Porsche name and conveyed his philosophy of uniting design, performance, and emotion in every detail. And here's the big turning point. The Beetle paved the way for Ferdinand Porsche to take his first steps towards independence as a manufacturer. Until then, his workshop provided services to third parties. But, after the monumental success of the project, There was no longer any doubt that the world was ready to see cars bearing the Porsche name. The time had come to transform the workshop into a brand, and not just any brand, but one that would become synonymous with excellence. What's most fascinating is to think that such a simple car, with such a humble design, was the springboard for one of the most luxurious and desirable brands in automotive history. This shows the power of an idea when it's executed with genius. The Beetle wasn't just a popular vehicle. It was the first step in creating a legend. And if you think the Beetle was just an ordinary car, wait until you see what came next. Because in the next chapter we'll talk about the Porsche 356 and, of course, the legendary Porsche 911, the models that definitively define the brand's DNA and place Porsche among the world's greatest. If this story has surprised you so far, support the channel by liking the video, subscribe so you don't miss the next episodes, and comment below. Did you ever imagine that the Volkswagen Beetle, a simple and popular car, was the key that opened the way for the birth of Porsche as a luxury brand? After the resounding success of the Volkswagen Beetle, Ferdinand Porsche and his family were certain of one thing. It was time to create a car that would bear the family name. And that's how, in 1948, the first car officially registered as Porsche was born. The legendary Porsche 356. The 356 wasn't just a car. It was a statement of identity. Initially produced in small quantities in a makeshift workshop in Austria, this model combined the simplicity and robustness of the Beetle with a sportier, more elegant design geared towards a distinctive driving experience. It featured a rear engine, a lightweight body, and flowing lines that conveyed movement even when stationary. Initially, the 356 was seen as too daring. After all, in a world still marked by the post-war period, who would dare to invest in a sports car? But Porsche's genius lay precisely in this, offering something that was more than just a means of transportation. The 356 delivered emotion, style, and a unique sense of exclusivity. Little by little, this car won over drivers, collectors, and speed enthusiasts. It was Porsche's first step towards global stardom. However, the true revolution would come a few years later, in 1964, when the brand presented the world with a model that would become timeless. The Porsche 911. That car wasn't just an evolution, it was a landmark. The unmistakable design, with its rounded headlights and robust rear, became instantly recognizable. More than a car, the 911 became a cultural symbol. The Porsche 911 was designed not only for the streets, but also for the racetrack. With cutting-edge performance and refined engineering, it quickly gained prominence in competitions and solidified Porsche's image as a manufacturer that mastered both luxury and sports performance. It wasn't just a car to drive, it was a machine that provided a visceral driving experience. And what's most impressive is that, throughout the decades, the Porsche 911 has remained true to its roots. While other automakers radically changed their models to keep up with trends, Porsche preserved the essence of the 911. With each new generation, the brand modernized technology and performance, but without losing its original DNA. This consistency has made the 911 one of the most respected and desired models in the history of motoring. Imagine the impact of this. A car born in the 1960s continues, to this day, to be a benchmark in design, speed, and prestige. Very few brands in the world have managed to create an icon that transcends generations with such relevance. The 911 is more than a car. It's an object of desire, a dream purchase that represents status, passion, and, above all, the embodiment of Ferdinand Porsche's vision. In telling the story of the 356 and the 911, we realize how Porsche built a unique narrative. From a small workshop, a brand emerged that managed to unite tradition and innovation in every detail. The 356 opened the doors, but it was the 911 that immortalized the Porsche name in the history of motoring and world culture. And the question remains, how did something that started so small, with so few resources, manage to transform itself into one of the greatest symbols of luxury and speed on the planet? That's exactly what we'll see in the next section, where Porsche ceases to be just a car brand and becomes a true global legend. If you're enjoying this journey, please leave a like to support the channel, subscribe so you don't miss the conclusion of this incredible story, and comment below. If you could choose, would you prefer to drive a classic Porsche 356 or a modern Porsche 911? At this point in history, Porsche was no longer just a car manufacturer. The brand had achieved something much greater, a place in the collective imagination as a synonym for luxury, speed, and innovation. But the path from a small workshop in Stuttgart to becoming a global legend was neither simple nor quick. It was built with sweat, discipline, and an unwavering philosophy of striving for perfection in every detail. After the 356 and the 911, Porsche consolidated a reputation for excellence that crossed borders. Its cars were not just means of transportation, they were experiences. Each model launched carried the promise of driving excitement, combining impeccable engineering with a design that exuded exclusivity. This union of form and function was the secret that transformed Porsche into a global icon. In the following decades, the brand expanded its operations, grew technologically, and embraced motorsport as a stage to showcase its superiority. On the track, Porsche proved that it wasn't just about luxury, but about real performance. Victories at Le Mans, Daytona, and other legendary races reinforced the brand's image as synonymous with endurance, speed, and cutting-edge engineering. Each triumph on the track resonated directly on the streets, elevating the prestige of every car produced. But Porsche didn't stop there. It adapted to market changes and the demands of new generations without losing its identity. From handcrafted, limited production to global expansion, every strategic decision maintained the essence that Ferdinand Porsche had instilled from the very beginning. Never compromise on quality and never lose the thrill of driving. This consistency was fundamental to the brand's ability to endure for decades without losing relevance, something very few companies managed to do. Another aspect that made Porsche a global legend was its ability to create a lifestyle around its cars. Owning a Porsche meant not just having a car, but carrying with you a symbol of success, status, and a passion for excellence. It was as if each owner was part of an exclusive community, connected by the same ideal, to intensely experience speed and innovation. Today, Porsche is admired on every continent, with fans and collectors who see much more than just engineering in the brand. It represents dreams realized, personal achievements, and a legacy that began with one man in a small workshop. It is proof that a grand idea, when combined with discipline and audacity, can overcome all barriers and become something timeless. From a modest space in Stuttgart to one of the most recognized brands on the planet, Porsche has traveled a path that few would dare to imagine. It didn't just manufacture cars. It built a myth. And that myth lives on, inspiring millions of people and showing that great legends can be born from the most unlikely places. And you, have you ever imagined yourself behind the wheel of a Porsche, feeling all the history and tradition of this legendary brand in every curve? Comment here which Porsche model would be your dream car. Leave a like to support the channel and subscribe, because we still have many other amazing stories of giants that changed the world. From a small workshop in Stuttgart to the world's most legendary racetracks, Porsche has written a story that goes far beyond manufacturing automobiles. It shows us how seemingly impossible dreams can transform into timeless symbols when fueled by courage, vision, and discipline. Ferdinand Porsche didn't start with giant factories or multi-million-dollar investments. He started with a restless mind, simple tools, and the audacity to believe he could go further. The most inspiring aspect of this journey is realizing that each step, each challenge, and each achievement shaped the identity of a brand that is now admired on every continent. The Beatles showed the world that it was possible to democratize mobility. The Porsche 356 opened the doors to the creation of a lifestyle on wheels. And the Porsche 911 immortalized the brand as one of the greatest icons in the history of motoring. All of this didn't happen by chance. It happened because there was a clear philosophy. It's not enough to build cars, you have to create unforgettable experiences. And that is the true legacy of Porsche. It's not just about speed or luxury, but about emotion, about the ability to transform the simple act of driving into something extraordinary. Every engine, every curve, every detail conveys the passion of a man who believed that machines could express human feelings. That's why, to this day, the brand hasn't lost its essence. It has evolved, modernized, embraced new technologies, but has never abandoned what made it special: the relentless pursuit of perfection. This story teaches us that great dreams can be born in the most unlikely places. An ordinary workshop can give rise to a world legend. A curious young man can become one of the greatest engineers in history, and a seemingly small idea can, over time, change the entire world. Porsche is proof that the vision of a single individual can create something that transcends generations, inspires millions, and becomes timeless. Now, the reflection is yours. What is your workshop? What is that idea, that project, or that dream that may seem small today, but could become something grand tomorrow? The history of Porsche reminds us that there are no limits for those who have passion, discipline, and audacity. If this story inspired you, please like this video, subscribe to the channel to follow other stories of giants who changed the world, and comment below. What part of Porsche's journey surprised you the most? The simplicity of the beginning, the genius of the Beetle, or the eternal impact of the 911? Your opinion is very important and may appear in our future content.